Market struggle to hold support. That's what we're talking about today, because yesterday's sell-off took the market right back to the 100-day moving average. There's a couple of things that we want to pay attention to. First of all, markets continue to kind of hold this support line that we had back here from these lows, and this 100-day moving average continues to be primary support for this little advance that we're having right now. So again, there's a couple of good bullish things that are going on. Money flow buy signals are back in place. Money flows are trying to improve here, but not a lot. There's still a lot of underlying weakness in the markets here as we move into the Q3 earnings season, which actually starts this week. Another important part is that we do have a MACD buy signal, but just barely. So again, these signals are very weak here at the moment, but markets are trying to hold support. It's going to be critical today that the markets hold this 100-day moving average at least through the end of the week. And again, this is going to be one of the challenging points for the markets. And the markets need to make an advance back here above the 50-day moving average if we're going to get this bull market back under control. Now, with earnings season coming up, hopefully those earnings will be strong enough to help give some lift to the markets. And again, we need to see money flows coming back into those big tech cap names like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, others. That will be really dependent on how those earnings really start to show up, but also importantly about their outlook for their earnings over the course of the next quarter. Lots of headwinds now facing earnings and being a challenge to earnings here over the next few months. Weaker consumer confidence, weaker economic growth, higher inflationary pressure, supply chain disruptions. All those are going to start to weigh on margins. And if these companies can't pass on those higher costs to consumers, it will erode their margins. Now, that's going to be problematic here because earnings estimates going into 2022 are very elevated still. Those have to come down here as economic growth continues to weaken. With a lack of fiscal liquidity coming into the markets, with concerns over the debt ceiling, another debt ceiling debate issue coming up in December, the Fed going to taper, there's a lot of things right now that's kind of hampering this potential for the markets to rally over the course of the near term. That brings us back to today's Technically Speaking report on the website here, talking about these longer term sell signals that we have in place right now as well. And again, we discussed this a little bit yesterday, but wanted to retouch on this again, that we do have a money flow sell signal on a monthly basis. These don't happen very often, but when they do, they tend to be fairly decent indicators of correction periods in the markets. Now, does that mean you have to have a major crash, a major correction? No, but back in February of 2020 provided a good signal to avoid the downside drag in the markets at that point. That was where we were talking about reducing risk at that time. Before that, we have to go back to December of 2017, where we passed the Trump tax cuts that led to basically the whole taper tantrum that we had with the Fed going into December of 2018. So again, these signals don't necessarily mean there's an immediate correction upon us, but they do tend to signal weakness in markets going forward. Is that what markets are telling us currently? Possibly. And again, with so many headwinds out there, I would expect to see earnings come in weaker than expected. That's going to start to weigh on profitability for companies. And with valuations still elevated here to a great degree, this is going to make it more challenging to justify prices at these levels. So some caution in your portfolio management certainly recommended here. If you have any questions, the article is up on the website at realinvestmentadvice.com. Go by there. You can see all these signals and all the analysis that goes along with it. I'm your host, Lance Roberts, for 3 Minutes on Markets and Money. See you back here tomorrow.